s'en dire pas tout.
All right. Anyways, I think okay. Let's keep this right on rolling along. And Robert, why don't you start off with your story?
Well, since I'm already frothing at the mouth, why not? It's like
Yeah, like mine. I need
so,
my story isn't as like I don't need like my dander to be raised. So yeah, so this will give me a chance to kind of cool down. So take it away.
because we all believe that Epstein killed himself. So so was it last week? There was the I don't know if anyone here is familiar with Project Veritas. They're a group that of actually people reporting on news and important things, kind of revealing uh, hypocrisy and kind of blowing the whistle. Especially, they've done a lot on the on big tech and on the abortion industry. They've put out a lot of important articles and videos on what's going on with that, and just kind of the sinister happenings behind what's going on there. And it's not they've implanted people in there, but lately a lot of people have been coming to Project Veritas and like kind of, hey, you guys got to check this out. This is what's going on behind the scenes. And last week there was a video that was given to them that was from ABC News with one of their anchor women, or I don't know which show she's on ABC, but she was talking about how 3 or 4 years ago she had coaxed one of the women that was in hiding after and she knew about all the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and she had photos and evidence and talking about like people that were going to this pedophile island, all this shit, and ABC was told her to scrub it, like there was don't report it. And now like all this stuff is coming out and she's talking about like, well, I'm pissed, I had all this stuff 3 years ago. And that just goes to show you that like, wow, ABC, like, I mean, I already knew that the media sucked anyways, but this is just another blatant example of like how this is why I don't trust the mainstream media at all, because of this. It's like and on top of that, so then later in the week, because they're furious. ABC is obviously absolutely furious. They are on a exploration to string and quarter whoever blew the whistle, and the person who they believe to have done it was some producer who ended up moving to CBS recently, and CBS ended up firing this person. First of all, it's like how is it you were on ABC and now you're on and CBS fired you? So how are these rival companies, like, why are they in cahoots, colluding with one another? And on top, but here's the most horrific thing is like, she was not the whistleblower. She didn't do it. So it's like it's insane. And this is just, to me, reason number 100,000 why I don't trust anything that comes out of the mainstream media.
Right. But what does it also say about like her response, where she wasn't upset that hundreds, if not thousands, of young girls or children were being being abused and raped.
Sorry, she didn't give a shit
But
about
she
that.
was more upset that she lost the scoop.
Yeah, she's mad she didn't break the story, not because of what was happening to these people.
Right. Yes. I mean that. I think that says more. Yeah. Good for her for wanting to come out with this story. Back when, but it's just like you're more indignant about like losing this losing the exclusive and the scoop, as opposed to you been would have been able to put away these monsters sooner to save save the lives of like countless thousands of young people and children.
Well, I mean, this is also the same, news corporation that, after the whole thing going on with Syria, and when Trump finally pulled the troops out of there, they were showing supposed footage of Turkey attacking the Kurds, except, oh wait, it wasn't any of that. It was actually some sort of um, gun show going on,
There's a gun range
going off
in Kentucky, probably doing like a Mad Minute sort of thing.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, whoops, sorry, it's who would have guessed, Kentucky, Syria, they're so close together.
Right. And they never what's that thing that they do in journalism when like if you made a retraction.
Yeah.
Their retraction wasn't on air, wasn't on the news program that they first broke it on. They did it on their Twitter account, right? And and if you just follow me on my reasoning here. It's like people who are watching the news program, the one that's on TV, aren't on Twitter.
Right.
So, and like the demographic that still watches, the news program on TV is like, I think the median age is like 60 years old. And they're not on Twitter. So, as far as they're concerned, that was an attack on some Syrian village.
Yeah, it was the Turks, taking retaliation against the Kurds. That was done on purpose. I guarantee that wasn't a mistake. That was done on purpose because Trump derangement syndrome.
Of course, and they know that the media they know that the median audience of their news programs, 60 plus, aren't on Twitter. They're not engaged as much as say our age demographic or even younger. They're not the ones that are watching the TV programs aren't on Twitter, so they never see the retraction.
And it's kind of the same thing with what the the newspapers will do too, where it's like they'll come out with these giant headlines, and it's like, oh, whoops, we got the story wrong, but they print that retraction on like page Z8, as opposed to the front page, like oh, whoops, we got the story wrong,
right?
And no one's reading that far, and so as far as everyone else knows, that headline or whatever, that's the truth.
Yeah, as far as anyone else is concerned, that headline is still good and accurate.
And it's everyone bitches about Trump saying that the media is the enemy of the people, but you can clearly see that they are out there manipulating stories so much, where it's not even like this is. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of left-wing news sources, but it's not even like a right-wing, left-wing thing, or right-wing or left-wing thing. It's just it's manipulation. It's sickening.
Right. I mean, here's the thing about the news. I want it to be right more than 2 times a day.
Yeah.
That. And for those of you not following that, that's that old idiom of a broken watch being right twice a day. I want my news to be accurate and right more than twice a day. I want them to I want them to have as accurate. I want them to give me as accurate a portrayal of what happened as possible. I want all the facts. I want all the pertinent players, and then that's it. That's all I want, and then I'll make up my own mind about it. But the constant editorializing of news, of events, is just it's just getting so tiresome. Yeah. It's getting so tiresome. It's like just this past Sunday I had this interaction with this young woman, and she's about to come of age, and she'd be able to vote, and this the vote, this the subject of like who she would vote in 2020 came up, and it's like, well, certainly not Donald Trump. And then I was just curious because I want to know what the other side is thinking. And she simply said, it's like, oh well, he just denies reality. And I was just like, oh well, how does he deny reality? It's like, oh yeah, well, things like climate change and things like that. There's like fires going on around us like all the time. He's like, how is that not related to climate change? And and I pushed back on her. I was like, well, it could be also poor management. And she kind of had like this bewildered look on her face, like, well, what do you mean poor management? And I broke it down for her. It's like, well, what if it's because we're not doing enough to clear out overgrowth, or the infrastructure is to a point of failure, and that we're not replacing, we're not doing maintenance and repairs. Wouldn't that make more sense than Trump denying that there's such a thing as climate change? And then and after that, she's like, she kind of didn't know how to respond to that. I'm hoping she
an alternate theory.
Right, it's like because okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that that interaction. It was almost like we were talking about Santa Claus, and she wants, and she was basically saying, it's like, oh well, I leave cookies out every Christmas Eve, and in the morning they're gone, so therefore there is a Santa Claus.
Right.
That's the worldview that she's presenting. I come in with an alternative perspective where it's like, well, maybe that might be true, but isn't it more likely that that your parents come during the middle of the night and eat the cookies so that you could continue to believe that there is such a person as Santa Claus. And that's exactly and that's what this climate change kind of hysteria is kind of like, because they keep saying like, oh, climate change is real, look all around you, the evidence is everywhere. It's like, well, I have some alternative evidence that makes a little bit more sense, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand it, or you don't have to be a climatologist to understand it. It's just simple, like, does this make sense?
Yeah, it's like we don't have to fear the scary sun monster.
Right, exactly. I mean, I could have blown her away with a bunch of facts, like the fact that NASA says that the Antarctic snow is growing more than it was losing in 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the supposed the UN climate report, like nearly everyone associated with that paper is asking for their names to be removed from it. Like, why wouldn't you want your name to be associated with such a it's a historical landmark research paper?
Yeah.
What else? What was another one? Oh, right. In 2004, Al Gore said that by 2011, Florida would be underwater. Last time I checked, Florida was still there and still full of crazy people.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like you even go back to, I think it was like the late 60s and into the 70s where they were fearing like the problem wasn't global warming, or it wasn't like the heating of the earth. It was like that we were going to get so cold that like stuff was going to freeze over and all this other stuff. So it's constantly moving. This is, constantly moving the goalpost. It's essentially like those doomsday cultists who are always like, the end of the world is coming and this date and time. Oh, it didn't come. Oh, let me refactor here.
Yeah, it's like, oh, sorry, I forgot to add. I forgot to carry the 2.
Yeah, and
But I mean, going back to the initial point, and you wonder why, like, nobody or no one should trust the media. That's exactly why. I mean, you have this young girl who thinks that because Trump took us out of the Paris Climate Accords, or he denies climate change being a real thing, that's what makes him an evil person. That's what makes him a bad president.
Well, and here's the thing with that Epstein story too. Going back to that, is that they were saying like, well, because they came out with some, cockamamie, lawyer speak excuse, and the they were saying like pretty much like, well, the story wasn't really ready to air, and all this stuff. It's like, so you didn't do any other, like, if let's say that's true, right? Which I don't think it was. All right, let's say that's true. Didn't decide to follow up on that any further, ask any more questions, find any more witnesses willing to talk. Didn't do any of that. No. Oh, that's a darn shame. That's funny how that worked out. And then 2, also, talking about like the media collusion on the left, is you have like CNN, and you have, fat boy Brian Stelter, who that's his whole job, is to talk about stuff that's going on within the media, and he doesn't, I think, mention it like for like half a second, maybe, if. It's like, oh, nah, not a big deal. He was bitching. He spent like an hour talking about like, Trump's tweets and like how with all the typos he has. Did decide to mention this story though.
Right. Yeah. So.
Because one,
Yeah.
I don't know which.
I mean, at this point, no one should be trusting the media. No one, everyone should have have a critical mind and a skeptic's attitude whenever you hear anything from the news.
Yeah, it's insane.
Any other thing that you want to add to that?
The only thing I can say is that Epstein didn't kill himself.